guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I make my wigs. So I'm using Beauty Forever hair, Malaysian hair, curly obviously, in the inches 26, 26, 24 with a 18-inch frontal. The first thing you're going to want to do is use T-pins to pin down your frontal flat on the cap, and you have to make sure it's flat, like there can't be any bumps at the back, so when you sew it down it will be completely perfect. And I just use T-pins at the front also to secure the frontal down to my mannequin head. And I also put the frontal about an inch like in front of the cap, just so when I put it on my head it looks natural and you're not just going to see the black cap underneath. Now I'm just sewing my frontal down onto the cap. It's pretty simple really. It looks hard but it's very simple. So you just go from underneath. You don't put the needle all the way through the cap, so you just want to put it through the first layer of fabric, and you're just going to go up through the frontal and just keep going round and round and round. It's pretty simple. This will take me probably about 5 to 10 minutes to do. And also when I start off sewing, I'll do it a couple times, so I go over the same place a couple times just to make sure the frontal is very secure on the cap, because I don't want it to come off. No one wants their frontal to come off the wig. That will be a disaster. When you come to the end of sewing your frontal down, you're going to want to go over it a couple times, double knot it maybe, to ensure that it doesn't come off completely and that it is going to be secure, like no wig off. So here you can see how I've sewn it in my frontal. The stitches are like maybe a centimetre apart from each other. It doesn't need to be that close. Just make sure it's not far enough so it can be secure. So now I am using bonding glue and sticking down my bundles. First I measure the length of the track, so how much I'm going to need, then I cut it, and then I'll take my bonding glue with a makeup brush that's very old, so it doesn't really matter, and I spread the bonding glue on the track, and then I put it down carefully. And this is the number one tip. I knew this tip before I was making the wig, but I was too lazy to do it. But you're meant to put a plastic bag on top of the actual wig head and then put the cap on top of that, so when you take the wig off it won't be stuck to the mannequin head. But I didn't do this, and as a result I was stuck there for 30 minutes peeling off my wig from the wig cap. So make sure you use a plastic bag on top of the mannequin head, because I was struggling to take it off, like to pry it off with my broken fingernails. So you're basically going to want to go in like a kind of a U shape. So if you can kind of see from the side, it's like a U. So you just keep going, and I place my tracks about a centimetre, centimetre 0.5 apart from each other. And especially because this is curly hair, you don't want to have too many bundles on the wig, because then it's just going to be really big. I made my first couple wigs by sewing them down, and literally I'm never going back to that, because literally to make a wig by sewing it took me like literally 6 hours to do, and it's just so hard. Like the thread breaks and then you have to restart that one over again, and literally it's just so much hassle. So I'd really suggest that you just use bonding glue and make your wigs, because the wig was so easy, so quick to do, and yeah, like, glue is the way forward. But when you come to the top and when you've got like a little bit of room left, instead of going in a U shape, you're gonna want to go like horizontally. So like cut little strips and go horizontally throughout the U. So instead of going in a U, you're just gonna go from side to side, if you get what I'm saying. When you've got like literally zero space left, you've just got space for one track, you want to place the track as close to the frontal as possible so it blends and you can't see the wig cap, obviously. So like, yeah. So now that the wig's made, I'm going to dye the hair, and I just find that black hair really doesn't suit my skin because it's just really dark and it washes me out completely. I find that brown honey coloured hair suits my skin the most and makes me look the nicest. So yeah, obviously if you like this colour you can leave it how it is, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just my preference. From past experiences, I found it way easier dyeing wet curly hair than dry curly hair, because dry curly hair takes up, you need so much hair dye to dye it because there's just so much, it's so thick. However, if you dye wet curly hair, the product goes in easily and you don't need as much product. So I washed this hair, and then I didn't wash it actually, I wet it. Don't wash your hair before you dye it, just wet it. And yeah, so now I'm applying the product evenly. The product, I've shown the product on screen, I'll probably link it down in the description. I really don't know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it or whatever, but it's in the colour Platinum, I think. And yeah, so I just follow the box instructions. The only thing I do differently is to wet the hair before I dye it. So yeah, I'm not dyeing it straight from the roots down because I kind of like the ombre effect and no one's really going to see the roots, so it's just going to all look brown. And yeah, so this is the finished look. It pretty much resembles my natural hair. As you can see, the curl pattern has dropped a little bit, but I feel like this curl pattern is much more natural and it matches my real hair. So I really love the texture of this hair. It's not damaged at all. For the amount of time I left the bleach on, the hair should be so damaged, but it's really not. It's still so soft, so silky, and there's no shedding at all.